What's up, guys? It's Leo Robles. Today I'm talking about how to qualify buyers. I know we're real estate agents, and most agents don't really know how to qualify buyers. They have no idea. Typically the typical real estate agent will say, "Oh, you want to get approved? Yes, I'm going to have my lender give you a call," or "My lender is going to give you a call. Expect a call from him." So from the time that you have a client and somebody that's interested in buying a house, in the middle, it's a big gray area. If that lender doesn't reach out right away, or if that buyer doesn't call your lender, guess what? That person is most likely not going to get qualified. And if they call me, let's just say they were to call me in one of my sites, and they call me on a listing, because these people are telling you that they want to buy a house. If they call me, I'm going to answer the phone, and I'm going to tell them, "Hey, you know what? Come to my office, let's get you qualified, because that's the number one thing we got to do," right? So why it's important to qualify these clients and make sure that you actually sit down and take the time and actually do it yourself. Most people are going to disagree with me, but I honestly think that if you facilitate that process for them, you will build more rapport and more loyalty from your client than you ever did, because they're going to look at you as an expert. I'm not asking you to process the loan. What I do that has worked very effectively is that I collect their documents. I get their 2 years taxes, their 1 month of pay stubs, 2 months of their recent bank statements, and their copy of our ID and social. With that information alone, you can send out that package via email, or you can deliver it to your lender's office. And guess what? Your lender can give you a pre-approval in 24 hours or less. And you look like a champion because you facilitated that process. Now the clients are looking up at you and saying, like, "Man, thank you so much for assisting me in this." Obviously, your clients have to approve of the lender, so make sure that, okay, you tell them about lender and have them at least talk to them on the phone. And that's what's going to happen anyways, right? When you have a package and you send it over to your lender's going to call them and go over some information, run their credit, and then you're going to have a pre-approved buyer ready to go. If somebody doesn't do that, then they'll call me, and I'll make sure that they get to my office so they can get qualified. Because there's a lot of times, "Oh, I'm already working with a realtor," and I say, "Well, why aren't you calling them? Or why aren't they showing you properties?" "Oh, because they're still, I'm still going to get qualified." "Well, why aren't you qualified? That's the number one thing you have to do." Most of the time they're like, "Yeah, well, the lender's supposed to call me and this and that." You have to lead your client as a professional. You're a trusted advisor. Make them aware of what they have to do. They don't know. They don't know how to buy a house. So it's your job to educate the buyer how the process goes. You also want to speak to them in a language where they're going to be receptive, right? You don't want to say, "Hey, if you don't get approved, I'm not going to work with you because it's a waste of time for me." Of course they're going to be like, "Dude, this guy's like a jerk. Like this person, all he cares about is that, like, did I qualify? He doesn't want to help me." So how I present it is this way: "Mr. Client, I am committed to serving you and actually getting into a property. In order to do that, we need to make sure that your financing is in place first. That way, that's 100% solid and out of the way. And that way we can look at properties and focus on that." This is what could potentially happen. If I don't get you qualified and we go out to see properties, and let's just say that you fall in love with the house. If you fall in love with this house, now you're in a position where, like, man, you can't even make an offer because you don't even know if your financing is in place. You don't know what your payments are going to be. You don't know what your down payment's going to be. You don't know what your rate's going to be. You don't know anything about that. You don't even know if you are going to qualify. So I would hate to do this to you because I don't want to break your heart. I want to make sure that if I show you a house, that you can make an offer on it today. And then now you're putting it on them. Like, "Oh my God, like, this guy really cares about how I feel." And that's like, I genuinely do. So that's what I'm sharing with you guys is, this is like, you genuinely want to help people. You want to be upfront with them. And you got to let them know that this is for their benefit, because it truly is. So the formula is real easy. The formula that I use is, I ask them 4 questions. So I'm asking them, number 1 is, are you a first-time buyer? This question is really important because you want to find out if this person you're dealing with has bought a house or hasn't bought a house in the past. A first-time buyer, by definition, is somebody that it's a first-time buyer of their house, but it's not necessarily true. If somebody doesn't have a house right now, they're still considered a first-time buyer. If somebody sold a house a month ago, they're still a first-time buyer now, because they're going to be buying a property and they're going to be living in it. You can't use a first-time buyer program if you're not living at the property. For an investment property, it's not going to work. Or let's just say that when you ask this question, they do have a house. So if they do have a house, then they can still buy another house, but they're going to need to come in with more down payment, with a conventional loan. Or let's just say that they own a house and they have a conventional loan on the property now. That means that they can buy this house FHA if they're buying the property to live into it. So that's a lot of information already you can share with the clients, and that's really important, right? Or let's just say that they say, yeah, I own the house, but I lost it. So that you can still get them into a house. It's not a problem. As long as the person hasn't had a house, well, the foreclosure happened 3 years or more, or the short sale, or whatever, some type of default that it had to happen 3 years or more. In addition to that, if they did a bankruptcy, they also have to wait 2 years. It's not like a total of 5, but if they did let's just say that somebody did a bankruptcy, they would have to wait 2 years. If somebody did a foreclosure, if they did a short sale, they need to wait 3 years. So those are basically the typical guidelines. So now you can go to question number 2. If you got all that information, now you know how you can engage the conversation. Step number 2, if you want to find out how's their credit. That question, you're going to probably get a couple of answers. You're going to say excellent. My credit is excellent. My credit is good. My credit is okay. My credit is bad. Terrible. Crap. So it might be all of those, right? Or you're going to get a response like, well, actually, can you see this? I don't know if you guys can see this. Oh, probably not. Let me go. You're going to probably get an answer like, I don't know. If somebody says, I don't know, don't let that stop you. Ask them, do you have any accounts on your credit that are open? They're going to say, no, I've never had it. So you're going to know that they don't have enough credit. Like they have to open up some credit cards. So if somebody has no credit, I tell them, you know what, go to like Daniel's Jewelry, Lupita's Jewelry, get a secured credit card. You want to at least have 2 to 3 accounts that are open that you've been making payments on for at least a year. That's how you're going to build up your credit. So now you can educate them on that. You got to think about it. You want to educate people to be in a position for where they can buy eventually. So from here, after you say I don't know, or if they say it's good or okay, then you want to move forward. Don't get all too bogged down about it. So the question number 3 is what is your income for the past 2 years? So they're going to tell you, yeah, you know what? I've actually I made $65,000, and this is in 2014. And then I made $65,000 in 2013. Now you know these 2 years they made $65,000. Now you know their credit is good, and you know that they're a first-time buyer. Perfect. The question number 4? What are your expenses on credit? This is a key word. And make sure you word it this way. What are your expenses on credit? Because lenders are going to look at those expenses to calculate what they're going to qualify for, their debt to income ratio. So their expenses, they're going to say, I have a car payment, $300. I have a credit card payment. It's $100. Student loan, $50. Cell phones, utility bills, rent, none of that stuff counts because that's not on their credit. The other thing you also want to focus on is that we're getting their minimum payments. A lot of people tell me, well, I pay $1,000, for my credit card, and I, have this payment for my student loan, but I'm overpaying. So that's fine. They can send all the way they want. What lenders care about and how they qualify is based on minimum payments. So make sure you get their minimum payments. So now you know that this person makes $65,000 a year, right? For the last 2 years. This person has these expenses, $300, $100, $50, and now you have enough information to qualify them on how much they qualify for. So what I'll do is I'll take the $65,000 figure here, and I'll take this $65,000 and actually let me put this to the side. So 300, 100, and then $50. These are the expenses. You put that to the side. So you put those expenses to the side there, you know, and so now you're going to take the 65,000 and then you're going to divide that by 12 months. So you're going to divide that by 12 months because you want to know like what their monthly income is. So that's going to give you $5,000 a month. So from $5,000 a month, lenders are going to give you 50% for expenses. So you'll take this $5,000 and then you divide it by 2, and that's going to equal $2,500. That's 50% DTI. So that means that this person that makes $65,000 a year can spend up to $2,500 a month and not put himself in a position of risk. So this figure is their maximum. So now you're going to deduct the $2,500 times the $450 of their expenses, because that's important. So you have to take their $2,500 and then they're going to minus $450. So that equals $2,050. That means that this person can spend on a mortgage payment $2,050 a month. Now from here you can take that $2,050 and then just use this formula. I use it every time. You're going to divide it by 0.065 times 0.065, and that's basically saying that every $1,000 that they finance, they're spending $6.50, and that's based on the current interest rate. So just make sure you kind of check in with the lender. This is based on approximately like 3.5 interest rate. So they're going to be spending like $6.50 per $1,000. So I'm going to divide 2,050 by 0.065, and let me actually do that on our calculator because I don't know it off the top of my head. But that's going to give you guys are probably faster than me. So 2,050 divided by 0.065, that's going to give me 315,000. So that'll give me 315,000, and that's how much of a home they can buy. You see how that works? Now you can tell these guys, hey, you can buy a house for based on your information, you can buy a house for 315, and your monthly payments are going to approximately be 2,050. That's without, like, you know, any association or any additional special assessments. This is like a normal assessment. So I mean, this is basically the knowledge that you need to have. You don't need to have like in-depth like underwriting experience, like none of that stuff. This is just like the basics, but now you can get anybody that you know qualified. How awesome is this? This is an awesome tool that you can use, and you can use it anywhere, anytime, any day, at open houses, when you're talking to people on the phone. Just use this formula because now you sound like an expert. Tell them, hey, I can get you in a house for $315,000, and your down payment is going to be 3.5% down, or your down payment is going to be 0.5% down, or your down payment is going to be 20% down, and your monthly payments are going to be so and so. You can calculate this. So if you want to calculate how much somebody's mortgage payment is going to be, you just take the figure and you multiply it times 0.065 because you just divided it to determine what they qualify for. So the opposite. So let's just say the client says, well, what are my payments on $300,000? I don't want to go up to $315,000. So now you'll take $300,000 and you'll multiply that times 0.065, and it's going to give you the monthly payment. So now you know what the monthly payments are going to be for somebody's price. No matter what the price is, you'll be able to multiply and use that easy little formula, 0.065, or you'll be able to determine what they qualify for, divide it by 0.065, and you can determine what they qualify for. So now you're an expert in buyers. So thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it.